Previously. Truly, there was nothing special about this encounter. My boss didn't taunt me or attempt me to exacerbate the situation. He didn't fire me, insult me, or do anything to tempt my fate. If anything, I'm the one who made things worse. Rather than try to reason with him, I lashed out, beating the pompous man in front of me to a bloody pulp. I knew it wouldn't accomplish anything. I knew attacking him wouldn't get me the money I needed, and yet I needed to punish him? And so I stared at my own handiwork, accepted the gravity of the situation before me, and took immediate steps towards regaining control once more. You know, when you called me here, I figured you needed my help with something not strictly legal. But this? Suoh, my man, you have outdone yourself. You really do have a bright future ahead of you. Unfortunately, given my dire situation, my options were quite limited. Staring an imminent prison sentence in the face, I called upon Marcus, a co-worker of mine. Anyway, I'll handle this disposal. You two clean up in here, alright? You're the boss, Andre. Just leave the rest to us. After all, that'll give us time to talk about repayment. Oh no. And there it is. After taking a shower and storing my earnings, I retreated to my bedroom for a few hours of sleep. Sara fell asleep by my side, tightly clinging to my torso, greedily stealing my body heat, until I too lost consciousness. Unfortunately, as nice as a peaceful, relaxing night in a warm bed sounds, tonight that pleasure will be short-lived. Whatever Marcus has planned, midnight is the deadline he gave me, and I don't plan on being late. Midnight meetings and corpse handling aside, the fact of the matter is that Marcus has already compensated me for the work not yet done, not to mention the promise of more to come. Whatever reservations I have about this, I can't afford not to go. At the very least, I need to hear him out and see what he has in mind. And if the job he has lined up for me is as violent and well paid as my night so far would suggest, then there are far worse ways to make a living. Eyeing the clock on the wall facing our bed, I snuck away from my sister's side, careful not to wake her. I slowly removed her arms from around me, replacing my body with the pillow I had been using until moments prior, then tiptoed out of our bedroom and through the living room, not making a sound the entire trip. It's a shame to have to leave her side like this, but tonight, there's somewhere else I need to be. Uh-oh, of course it's in a freaking garage. Or like a parking... Yeah, this is a parking garage, right? Like an underground parking garage. Following the unfamiliar route detailed to me earlier in the day, I made my way to a part of town I never thought I'd need to visit. Among the many districts of Richmond, this is one of the poorest, and definitely not a good place to be at this time of night. There's no police presence to speak of. Most of the stores are closed or abandoned, and there's absolutely zero maintenance being done. As soon as Marcus told me where we'd be meeting, I knew the job he had lined up for me couldn't be legal. Just what am I getting myself into? I mean, we could have figured it out that it wasn't legal by just the words that he mentioned, right? He just said like, yeah, it's legal if you don't get caught. Jeez, took you long enough. I was beginning to think you chickened out. The moment Marcus and I met face to face, he opened with his usual level of compassion. Chickened out of what? I don't even know why I'm here. You're here because it's one of the few places in town where someone like you can actually make money. You know that isn't what I meant. I'm in a shoddy neighborhood in the middle of the night, prepared to make money from legally questionable work, and you're still only telling me the bare minimum. You can't keep me in the dark forever, Marcus. I guess you're right. But really, relax already. It's honest work, I assure you. In this part of town? This late at night? I doubt it. Alright, so what now? Just follow me. You'll understand soon enough. Marcus turned around and walked to the side entrance of the building adjoining the car park. He removed the keyring from his pocket and unlocked a steel-framed door, turning back for a moment to smirk as though daring me to follow him. And so I did. Following right behind Marcus, I entered the dreary building, immediately confronted by a dusty staircase within. The path before us was dark, dirty, and every bit as eerie as one would think a midnight stroll in an unsavory neighborhood might be. Despite that, the staircase appeared to be maintained, or at least not dilapidated. Moreover, albeit faint, I could definitely see light coming from below. A boxing ring? What awaited us at the bottom of the staircase was an arena. In the center was a boxing ring, and beyond that were grandstands, akin to those I'd usually see in football stadiums. Despite the massive size of the venue before us, there were only a few other people present, all mulling around near the top of the grandstands. The lights remained dim, and for all intents and purposes, Marcus and I were essentially alone. So, what do you think? Pretty impressive, huh? That's one word for it. What the hell is an arena like this doing down here? I believe the word you're looking for is stadium or ring. Anyway, where else would it be? Events like these can't take place out in the open, you know. Not even in Richmond. Oh no, what the hell? It's not just a boxing ring. I don't know exactly what it is, but it's gotta be something, you know, extreme. Events like these? It's just a boxing ring, right? In a way. Interested? In boxing? I'm not a fan of watching sport, but come to think of it, just wait a little longer. Another 5 minutes, and this place will be open to the public. Then you can tell me if you're interested in bashing skulls for a living. Oh, wow. While Marcus and I hung around the bottom of the dark stairwell, an entrance apparently reserved for staff, spectators began to storm in between the grandstands. Hundreds, if not thousands of spectators flooded the grandstands, soon filling the arena, which had only been empty minutes ago. The grandstands were filled, the ring gained fighters, and best of all, the betting began. Holy crap! Look at all of that money! Just how much are those people betting? Despite being so far away from the action, I could clearly see large stacks of money changing hands. Spectators practically threw money at the staff taking bets, growing all the more excited as the fighters for the first match began warming up. Figures should jump straight to that. Yes, there is that side of business. And yes, a lucky man can make himself a small fortune down here. But competing is where the real money is. And there aren't any rules against betting on yourself either. Wow, really? There aren't any rules against betting on yourself either. That's interesting. So, are there any rules against betting on your opponent? Because then you can just lose every single fight, right? And then still make money from betting. But he said the real money is in fighting. So I assume you just get an amount of money per, like a fixed salary per fight, for example. So let me ask you again. Are you interested? Interested in that kind of money? Absolutely. But as far as competing goes, oh god. Alright, so the thing about this is, yeah, our eyes are obviously immediately drawn to the money because that's what we're... The thing is, the vibe that I'm getting, yeah, I'm not entirely sure whether we were used to be like rich kids or something, but it's safe to say that we were accustomed to a certain type of lifestyle before, right? So we didn't have a bad life. It's safe to say that our parents had quite a bit of money. I mean, they even mentioned that their assets were frozen. That generally means that they have quite a bit of money. So obviously money is a big priority for us, because to go from being pretty well off to suddenly having to eat instant food for weeks on end, that's gotta be quite sort of a big and drastic change. And obviously you want to go back to what you sort of are accustomed to or have been accustomed to for so many years of your life. So the thing about this is, we owe this guy a favor, Marcus, and I have a feeling that if we don't do this, what is he going to ask from us then, right? That's sort of the thing that I'm wondering. And it also, the vibe that I'm getting for sure from this guy, from us, is that we're pretty much willing to do whatever it takes to kind of get there as well, with both with the money, and we're really protective of our sister as well. Like, he really kind of appreciated that moment where his sister found a little bit of happiness, and he wanted to extend that as long as possible. And this is a way to do that, right? To keep extending her happiness. So although it seems shady, and I have no idea what actual fighting this entails, like, is it just actually regular boxing, or is there like free for all, no rules, just like, can you actually bring gloves with like spikes on it? Like, how bad or how dangerous are these actual fights? There's little context to go in that regard. So the thing about this is, as much as I have a feeling that this guy would actually sort of do it. He was so drawn to the money that he was just going like, yeah, probably. Marcus does have a point. I mean, this is a demo, right? We're playing the demo, even if we think like, yeah, I didn't want these choices to begin with. We can play it probably again in the regular version when it gets released. If I learned how to fight professionally, then proceeded to bet on myself, I could make a lot of money. It would also give me an outlet, somewhere to vent my frustration, rather than on unsuspecting victims like Mudo. But that's the best case scenario. Realistically, I might not even land a hit on my opponent, let alone prove proficient enough to profit from a career in boxing. I could just end up broken and broke, worse off than ever. Maybe, but I'd rather find a more stable source of income. Your loss. But if that's how you feel, then I suggest you set your sights on the man above the grandstand to your left. Despite our poor vantage point, I did as Marcus suggested and gazed towards the grandstand to the left of the boxing ring. Above the grandstand was a glass panel, a viewing booth, with a single shadow being cast from within. Oh my god, of course. Behind that bulletproof glass is the owner of this fine establishment, Mr. Karasu. Impress him, and you'll make a comfortable living without ever setting foot inside the ring. Now that is worth noting. A place like this must rake it in. I'd be foolish not to try and get in on something like this. Make a living? How? What kind of business does he run? Dude, you're looking at it right now, right? Ha! Forget I said anything. Let's just make a silly bet between friends, okay? Who do you think will win this next match? Macho Man or a little Jap? Isn't that a little bit racist? Just a little bit. With both fighters for the next match already center staged, I could clearly tell who Marcus was referring to. So, they're boxing without gloves, it seems. Before us were two men in their 30s, one in blue trunks and one in red. In blue was a Caucasian male, from my position, who seemed to be at least 6 foot tall, with the shoulder width to match his impressive stature. His opponent seemed to be a head shorter, a Japanese man with a slim build, probably a martial artist of some variety. Alright, I'm betting on the Japanese man. I'm sure they're both professionals, given their presence here. But if I'm asked to choose the victor, I'd say I'm going with the Japanese man. I'm Asian myself, Asia represent. Okay, I'm half Asian, but still. You know, The thing about it is that in fighting, it's not always about size or muscles or everything. That doesn't mean it doesn't mean not that it. Okay, let me rephrase that. Muscles doesn't mean everything. That's what I'm trying to say. It's not that muscles don't mean anything at all. Of course they mean something, but like size of muscles and everything. Like I saw, what was it? The guy, for people that watch Game of Thrones, like I forgot what his name was, but like the huge fighter that's sort of like considered the world's strongest man. He lost in against like a guy that was one of the best ones in arm wrestling. Like sure the I think his name was the Mountain, right? It's the Mountain. He was like, his muscles are like much bigger than that guy, but actually the arm wrestling professional, he was just, I mean, it's always about it was like proper skill and just usage of your body weight and whatnot as well. And that's just sort of how he won against this guy that's even like taller than him, bigger than him, weighs heavier than him, has more muscles than him. But muscles doesn't mean everything. So I'm betting on the Japanese man here. Wow, did we have to say the Japanese man? I'd rather not make a bet with Marcus, but I guess it can't hurt if there aren't any stakes. Alright then, I guess Macho Man is mine. With our bets having been placed, neither of us said a word as we waited for the match to begin. Even if we wanted to talk, it took enough concentration to simply observe from such a distance, let alone speak. If not for the significant difference in stature, I doubt I'd have even been able to tell the fighters apart. Ding ding ding, oh my god, that's not a good, he has him in a submission hold, right? Damn. Uh-oh. The instant the bell rang, the outcome had already been decided. In a split second, the massive Caucasian swept his opponent's legs, sending him to the floor. He then threw his legs around the Japanese man's arm, pushing his elbow like a lever as he threatened to snap. Ah! Ah! The Japanese man cried out in pain as his arm bent backwards at the elbow. But as his screams were overpowered by the crowds, who shouted out for blood, spurring on the giant who he had been pitted against. Ah! No more! I give! The man in blue paid no heed to his opponent's pleas for mercy. Oh my god, no. Okay, I knew this was this kind of freaking fighting. He couldn't have just been nice boxing with actual proper boxing gloves, of course not. Why else would it be at the bottom of a freaking, I don't even know, in the shadiest part of town? Even as the Japanese man cried out in pain, forfeiting without hesitation, the giant continued, unabated, glaring at his opponent without even a hint of sympathy. Despite how overwhelmingly one-sided the fight proved to be, the crowd continued to cheer, seemingly more interested in seeing blood than a match. And so, in response to their lust for violence, oh my god, the Caucasian man happily carried out his job. I can already feel it being snapped, his bones. The sound of the Japanese man's arm being snapped in two was silenced by the crowd, most of whom went quiet as its echo reached their ears. Medical staff rushed into the ring, carrying the fallen fighter out post-haste, and gamblers lined up to collect their payouts. Well, luckily we didn't bet any money, leaving the remainder of those present in shock and awe. Not all Asian practice martial arts, you know. You'd better learn to analyze your opponents a bit better if you want to become a professional fighter. Well, I kinda analyzed there. I analyzed wrongly, so... It's not that I need to learn to analyze, but actually I need to learn how to analyze better. Marcus tried to speak to me, but whatever he had to say, I wasn't interested. Even after the match had ended, my mind was in the ring, replaying the scene that had transpired mere moments ago. I could feel the blood drain from my face, even before the decisive moment, at which point there wasn't a single hair on my body not standing on end. Marcus dragged me here, with promises of money, making it sound like my worries were over. A legal job, one in which I could act violently, and make money from doing so. Boxing fit that description, and for a moment there, I could even see myself wearing boxing gloves and trunks, duking it out with some other money-hungry athlete. But what I just saw, whatever it was, that's not happening. Marcus can't possibly expect me to get in a ring like that, getting my legs broken for his sadistic boss's amusement. I may be desperate, but no sum of money is worth that. Some people might think differently, but yeah. The thing about this is, like one fight, you break your legs and then you can't fight anymore, and you're dependent on fighting to earn more money, right? So if you lose one fight, you're out for such a long time. So the only people that are actually successful at fighting are the winners. The losers practically get nothing out of it, or at least not nothing, but not much. And then after that, you're both have probably limbs broken or you're in pretty bad condition, meaning you need time to recuperate if you're even able to get to a physical, back to your old self as well, because a broken bone is not nothing. A broken leg takes a long time to heal, and also it's just different to even if the healing has actually sort of is complete. There's still physical therapy, and you'll never feel the same on your leg as well. So, and I think my cousin from the Philippines mentioned that he broke his legs during playing basketball, and right now he's kind of struggling with sort of gaining the same amount of confidence in his jumps and just in general while playing basketball again. So that's one of the things that you definitely have to get used to after getting an injury like that as well. So this just seems such a huge gamble. If you win a couple of times or you win most of the time, then you're gonna get a lot of money. But imagine this, we start, okay, we're like, let's do this, and then we train for a while, get all bulked up and in fighting shape, and then we fight, and then we end up fighting against that blue Caucasian guy, right? I mean blue in shorts, not blue in his skin color. And we fight him, otherwise he'd be a Smurf. But we fight him, get our legs broken, and then what? We wasted not only time in our month, we lasted not even one fight, probably don't get much money from that. And then after that, we're in that recovering stage, and then after that we probably can't fight, and during that recovery stage we're not earning money either. So what the fuck? And that means we can't work any other job that would be legal, even though we earn less money. At least we get a stable income of money, a stable source of income. So this is really tricky. So I feel like the only way of sort of getting money here is to somehow try and convince or impress this guy in the glass booth. After the last of the spectators and staff members had left the stadium, only two figures lingered in the underground layer. Hidden behind thick glass, watching over the match from afar, the duo began to wind down as the night's festivities came to a close. Phew, what a night. I can't even remember the last time I watched a fight live. Why are they always this gruesome? The pairings are usually more balanced. There's no profit in matches with obvious outcomes after all. Usually? As in, not tonight? Do you have to ask? You specifically requested that we skew the pairings so that different weight classes could fight one another. I did? That doesn't sound like me. Well, you didn't quite put it like that. You wanted to find someone lean and fast and strong, right? Someone who could punch above their weight class. Ah, right. But isn't this selection method a little counterproductive? Why are you asking me? It was your idea. Oh, I see. Well, scratch that. There has to be a less costly method, right? Yes, sir. I'll start spreading word that we're recruiting, and I'll keep your criteria in mind. No. You can't pin this one on me. It's your criteria, Sai. I wouldn't have a clue what to look for. Very well. I'll pass along my criteria and expand the recruitment drive to include younger fighters. Even then, it might take a while. Finding someone capable is only half the battle. The real challenge is finding someone who's not only emotional and mentally stable, but also desperate for money. Dang, we seem to fit that bill, although from our previous encounter at like the very beginning, I don't think we are that mentally stable, so... And ruthless enough to kill for it. Dang. I mean, we got 3 out of 4.